But mostly, Ewan was just...
Hey, we need a little help here.
Come on, this really is unnecessary.
What happened?
I just got a little lightheaded.
Oh, no,
that's all.
it's more than that. She passed out. She hit her head on the desk pretty hard on the way down.
Did ER send you up here?
Yeah, they did. They said they had their hands full with people affected by the pathogen.
Well, then you should probably go help them. I'm fine.
You're not fine, all right? At least let Elizabeth have a look at you. Please?
Well, you might be able to avoid stitches, but I'm gonna have to clean it up. That's good news. How's your leg? What happened?
Nothing. It's fine.
He was shot by Ewan.
The goofy shrink? How'd you let that happen?
Ewan was using me as a shield, and Jason couldn't get a clean shot in without killing me.
Oh, okay then. Where's Keenan now?
In the ER with a bullet in his chest.
Are you okay? Thanks to Jason.
What's going on with Jerry?
Hang on, let me get this. Jasam, babe. Really? Really? Hey, how do you feel about mall security? I'm pretty sure you're gonna be there next week. Apparently, Jerry Jacks has escaped. Present whereabouts unknown. Okay, look, I will meet you there, all right? I'm on my way. I gotta get back to the station.
I'm going with you.
No. You're not going anywhere, please.
What you said the bleeding stopped.
I said the bleeding had lessened. You still have a bullet in your leg with a possible nicked artery. The only reason why you're not down in OR is because there's no room for you.
Yeah, look, there's nothing you can do right now anyway, right? I promise to maybe call you if I need anything or anything changes. Take care of yourself, okay?
I will. You too.
Yeah. I'll see you around.
I hope so.
I'm sorry. Elizabeth, if everything is under control in here, I could use your help.
Yeah, everything's fine.
This can't be the end. You okay?
You? With a bullet in your leg?
I've been shot before. They're just gonna take it out.
Assuming any of us live that long.
Come on, Sam. You can't think that way.
Well, how else am I supposed to think, Jason? If Jerry doesn't give over the antidote, then...
You can't run forever.
He said we had 48 hours left to
Yeah,
live.
we still have some time.
But how much time? Jason, this can't be happening. We could be dying, and I can't help but wonder...
Wonder what?
Not what. What if we had made different choices? What if my baby had lived? How would our lives be different?
Still got time?
How much, Jason? I mean, we could be dying, and I can't help but wonder.
Wonder what?
Jason, I mean, I'm talking about what if? What if our child had lived? Everything would be different right now.
I'm sorry, Sam. I always will be.
No, this isn't about blaming you. This is about how different our lives would be. Everything would be different.
I'm not.
You know, every night I dream about the life that we should have had.
You know, if I could go back, I would change it.
It wasn't just your fault, Jason. We both made mistakes. Mine started with Heather Weber.
Don't you see?
I had just made it through hell with Franco.
Yeah, but we made it back.
We did, Jason, and I'm not saying that everything was perfect, and I know that a lot of things were still going to be a struggle for me, but I knew everything was going to be okay. Because Franco, he was in the past, and we were gonna focus on our future.
And the baby?
Our baby. The DNA test proved it. Franco had no part of him. And then he had to leave that stupid DVD, and I was afraid that he was still in our lives, and I needed answers, and that is where I went wrong.
Trying to get rid of Franco was not wrong.
I traced your birth records, and I came up with Heather Weber's name. And if I never would have went to Ferncliff, I never would have found out about Franco, and he would be out of our lives and our babies.
Come on, Sam, don't do this.
No, Jason, just imagine. Imagine how different our lives would be if I never came up with Heather Weber's name. It would be so different if I had only walked out of Ferncliff before Heather could tell me what she knew.
You needed answers. You thought they might affect the baby, and it turns out that you were right.
Jason, changing one conversation would have changed everything else. I would have come home completely happy, and instead, I had this big secret hanging over my head. Hey, did you leave her?
It's not too bad.
You always say that. I don't even know why I bother to ask anymore.
Thank you.
For what?
For asking.
Of course I'm gonna ask, Jason. I'm always gonna care. Heather may have taken away everything else, but she can't take that. I can imagine us there in the penthouse, the way we used to be. I always loved coming home to you.
Me too.
You know what the best part would have been? The homecoming wouldn't have stopped there. Sorry, I should see who this is. I'll keep you posted.
Who was it?
My mother.
She okay?
Yeah, she's fine. She's just worried about all of us. I told her that Patrick and Steve are still working on the anti-serum, but so far they haven't come up with anything.
How'd he laugh?
Must be loving this. He's finally the big winner.
He hasn't won yet.
If Jerry doesn't come up with the anti-serum or somebody doesn't find a cure, we are not going to make it, Jason. Except for Jocelyn and my mother. She's going to outlive her children. Just like you and me. Oh, what are you doing? Where are you going?
Jerry set all this up for a reason. If I can figure out what he's after, maybe I can find where he left the counteragent.
You're not going anywhere, Jason. You have a bullet in your
Sam,
leg.
the bandage should hold. It's gonna be
It
fine.
should hold. So what? You're going to choose to either bleed to death or die from the pathogen?
I'm not gonna die. Neither are you.
I'm asking you to stay, Jason, please. With me. I know it sounds silly, but telling you this story, my version of what might have been, it is the only thing that's keeping me calm right now.
Wait, so that's your story? You go into labor and it brings Spinelli and Maxie back together?
Hey, back off. This is my fantasy.
Hello? Can we get some help?
What do you think?
I think it's a good name.
And it is a good name. He would have been just like you. He already was. He looked up at me and he had this funny little frown.
What? Babies don't frown. Yeah.
He did. He looked just like you. You would have been the best father to Danny. Well, you probably think I'm crazy crying over things that have never happened.
You're not doing anything wrong.
It's just once I start living in this fantasy world, I don't want to leave. And I always think to myself, just another 5 minutes, and everything's gonna be okay. But 5 minutes is never enough, Jason. I get greedy.
So you think we would have had 2 kids?
I told you I am greedy. Or maybe it's just the fever, but Yeah, whenever I picture the family that we were supposed to have, I see a picture of the four of us. You, me, a little girl, and a little boy.
Maybe you're right.
Except we both know that it is just a story, Jason. We both know what really happened. I lost my son. And you and I, we lost each other. No matter how many stories I tell myself, we both know what really happened. I went to Ferncliff and I found Heather Weber. I found out that Franco was not only your twin brother, but the father of my child. I delivered my baby at the Rendezvous Motel. You sent those men after John. No matter how much we want to, we can't change any of that. I lost my baby. He's gone. Anything else is just a fantasy. Well, it was just a fantasy, but it was a pretty good one, wasn't it? Dreaming of the life we could have had as a family. Jason, I should have never gone to see Heather Weber. Can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure, anything.
It's about the night that my baby died.
Sam, I was wrong. I should have never sent those guys after McBain. And
Jason, no, that's not what I'm asking. I've been so angry at you, and as long as I made it your fault, I didn't have to stop to think about what really happened. I mean, I barely remember sitting in that motel room that night. I mean, I think the rain had stopped. I'm not sure. I can't really remember, but I do remember wrapping my son up in a scarf, which seems so stupid to me right now, because why wouldn't I use a blanket or a towel, something that would really keep him warm? And then I decide to leave. Why? I mean, where was I going exactly?
You said the baby wasn't breathing right and you wanted to get help.
It was in the middle of the road, and it was closed. So why didn't I take him back into the motel?
Sam, you weren't thinking clearly.
Why didn't I bring him back into the room where he was warm? Why did I take him off into the middle of the woods?
Because you were trying to find help.
I walked into the middle of the woods following a light. And I wound up at a shack in the middle of nowhere. And then I left him.
You didn't leave your son. You weren't shocked. You should have been in the hospital. It's my fault that you weren't.
No, by the time I found that shack, Jason, I was so sick and I was dizzy and I was afraid I was going to drop him, so I put him down. But why? Why did I put him down? Why didn't I take him with me? Why did I leave him outside in the cold?
Sam.
Jason, I left him outside in a storm. I'm his mother. He needed me, and I left him. I left him outside. My baby died because of me. It was my fault. He died, and it was my fault, Jason. I should have brought him with me.
You thought you were going to drop him. Sam, he didn't die because you put him down. He died from respiratory failure.
All alone.
You did the best that you could. You were so weak when I showed him to you, you didn't even recognize him. You said it wasn't your baby.
Because I didn't want to believe it, Jason. I didn't want to believe that it was him. So I came up with this sick fantasy, but it's impossible. What, that somebody switched him and put a newborn in his place?
You know, when a child dies, the pain is too much. You know, you look for a way to make it not true.
I know it was my son that died that night. I've got this feeling that if I would have held on to him and just didn't never put him down, he would be with me right now.
Yours are still full, so it's gonna be a few hours before we can get that bullet out.
I can wait.
You want something for the pain?
Nah, no, I'm fine.
Patrick can prescribe you something.
Look at me, son.
I want you to know Ewan died.
Well, at least you're safe.
I'm still trying to figure out how a person that I considered a friend worked with Jerry to poison the whole town.
He swears he didn't know what Jerry was planning.
It doesn't change the result. Jerry still got the pathogen in the water.
He said it's going to be 48 hours, which unfortunately I think is correct, which means the fever is progressing for everyone.
Is it possible to pull the medical records for Sam's baby?
Actually, they're in Sam's chart here.
Can you tell us why he died?
Says he died of respiratory failure. His lungs weren't developed.
So if Sam and the baby made it to the hospital, you could have put him on a ventilator and he'd still be alive, right?
Did nobody
I'm just trying to be clear because he died, he wasn't in the hospital, he couldn't get proper care.
I doubt that the ventilator would have done any good.
Are you sure? Because I mean, when I asked Kelly, she said that that's what she would have done. She would have put him on a ventilator.
Yes, your baby would have been put on a ventilator, but the baby's lungs weren't developed. It wasn't breathing properly, so I'm sorry, but there was no way to save your baby.
So my son never had a chance to live?
There's a high probability that he would have died of respiratory failure no matter what.
Okay, but was it anything that I did while I was pregnant to affect the development
Sam,
of
there's
his lungs?
nothing that you could have done differently. In fact, it says here that you were very diligent. You told Kelly Lee to look into a genetical disorder with the Cassadine family beta thalassemia.
Was that a factor?
No, not in the MA. It doesn't say that, but your son had a worse condition, hemophilia.
No, I do remember Kelly briefly mentioning that, but she thought it was weird because it didn't show up in any of my blood work while I was pregnant.
That's not why he died.
Your son died of respiratory failure, okay? His lungs weren't developed. Now, I'm sure if you would have got to the hospital sooner, we would have done anything we possibly could to keep him alive, but in my medical opinion, there's nothing that we could have done. Now, we need to get you to radiology.
Can I see the file?
Yes.
The baby's death wasn't Sam's fault. And it wasn't yours either.
It's still my fault McVeigh couldn't get Sam and the baby to the hospital.
You heard what Patrick said. It wouldn't have mattered.
Wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense.
What doesn't make sense?
It says right here, Sam's baby's AB negative and Sam's O positive.
Well, if the baby was Franco's, then that...
No. It says Franco is O positive. So how could Sam and Franco have a child who's AB negative? I mean, that's not possible, right?
So how long?
Okay, am I reading this right? Sam and Franco, both O positive.
Yeah,
But the baby is AB negative.
that's what this says. Oh, there's gotta be a mistake.
What if there's no mistake?
What do you mean?
What if the baby who died wasn't Sam's? I was just talking about the baby.
I wanted to let you know that I got a little carried away imagining what life might have been.
It's okay, there's nothing wrong.
I
There's nothing
know,
wrong
it's
with
just,
that.
it's easy to let myself go there, Jason. To imagine us happy as a family. But I know that it's not real and my son is gone, and as it turns out, he could have never lived at all.
Sam,
Jason, I hope that it gives you some peace knowing the truth after everything that I did to you.
I was wrong. And I would do anything to fix it.
I know you can't. And it's not your fault. I know Steve wanted to release me, and I don't want to keep on waiting. I'm gonna go. Hey. They released me. I wanted to say goodbye.
Where you going?
My mother's.
How are your sisters?
Christina's fine. She was out of town, so she wasn't affected. But Molly... It's just not fair, Jason. Why couldn't Jerry spare the kids?
It's not over. It's not over. Still a chance they can find the cure, but it's good that you're going to be with her.
What are you going to do?
I'm just going to wait, you know, for surgery, and eventually they'll
For what, Jason? What if there's no time?
You mean, what if we're dying?
You still... Thank you for making me see that my baby didn't die because I left him alone on the porch.
I'll always be with you.
No, and maybe I'll get to see him soon.
Stop. Don't think about dying.
Well, if it does happen, Jason, I want you to know that I'm going to be thinking about you. And the time that we spent together was amazing. And if this were to happen then, if we were dying when we were together, I want you to know that I would die happy.
Hey.
Goodbye.
No, don't say that.
Okay, then I'll see you later.